Hello, I am Chris Menard. I appreciate you joining me for Microsoft Excel. We're going to do some filtering. I have up on the screen what the agenda is going to be. We'll go through here. Christian, my friend, is joining me also. Feel free to ask questions in either the YouTube chat box or over in LinkedIn, whichever one you want to. If I don't get to your questions, we actually have this set up that your questions are going to get saved, and I'll go and answer them later if I can't get to them in this session. Let's dive in right now with our first example for filters. I have this worksheet here. I'll zoom in just a little bit more so we can see it easier. Up in the top is my header row. Just so you know, if I scroll down, we have 35 customers because the header row is row one. I've got different states, different cities. I want to filter and I only want to see, I'm making this up, people in California. The data tab, here is the sort and filter group. I'm going to click on filter. That is what gives you the drop down arrows in the header row. That's simple. Hit the drop down for state, take the check mark out of select all, check the state you want. And when you click OK, notice before I click on OK, the row numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 over to the left are all in black. When I click OK, they go from black to blue. The other rows are hidden, they didn't get deleted. There is your filter. Also, in the very bottom left corner is the status bar. And right next to the word ready, it says 7 of 35 records found. You can continue with the filter. If you want to see cities, hit the drop down. It's smart enough to not pick up every city, Excel is. I just want to see San Diego, click OK. I'm down to 3 records and one more. Household type, I only want to see couple, so I'm just going to unselect family, click OK, and there is one record. Just a small tip for you here. You can always tell which fields you're using because they turn into funnels. And instead of having to click here, because I see people doing this all the time and hit clear filter from household type, clear the filter from the state and all that, this is when you come up here and just click on clear up here. This is the easiest way to do it. And I'm going to do it right now. So I just cleared those out. Another easy tip for you about filters. If all I care about is California and I don't feel like sitting here and hitting the state drop down, taking the check mark out of select all, we covered this when I did the sorting live stream a week or two ago. Just right click, go to filter, not sort, and I'm going to filter by the selected cell's value. Watch this. There I go again. And it's still letting me know that I am doing a filter. And I'm going to hit clear one more time. All right. Here comes another filter tip. I get asked this question a lot, and I also see people doing this the long way. And that is, what if I don't want certain records from my data anymore? We need to delete data. I see people sort and then select and then delete. I'm going to make this up. I don't want to see people, I'm just picking on them in New York. Hit the arrow for state, New York, click OK. There are the 4 records. Notice the records 4, 10, 18, and 33. And here's the trick. Just highlight them, right click and delete them. You're not deleting the hidden rows. You're only deleting what is visible. And watch this. Someone always tells me, Chris, look, it didn't work. You don't have any records left. Well, I deleted the records that were visible. You just need to go hit clear again up at the top. And there we go. We had 35 records to begin with, or 36 rows, including the header. And now we have 32 because we got rid of those 4. I am going to pull them back with an undo. just so you know that. So now we're back here. Hop back over here. We've covered these three items already. Back over into my filters. Another tip for you, this has to do with deleting. It's the opposite. I, for some reason, want everyone in California to be on its own worksheet for just some reason. Same steps, data tab, filters are already running. I'm gonna keep this simple. I'm gonna just do that right click, filter, filter by selected sales value. I got them all highlighted. I'm gonna pick up the header row too this time. Copy whatever way you want to. A new worksheet, you can always click the plus sign at the bottom. If you are a keyboard person, Shift F11 will put in a new worksheet. And then just press enter. Excel is one of the few programs where you can press enter to paste. And there is just California on a worksheet called Sheet 1. I would rename it and call it something else, but there you go. If you ever want to take data, filter it, and then copy and paste, that's all you got to do. Back here and clear this again. Now, I don't have any dates on this one. Um, Before I go on, I'm going to take a breather here and answer any questions that we have. If the data is formatted as date, month, year, is there a way to filter by the day of the week? Great question from Dan. Dan wants to know, let me explain this one. Thanks, Dan. I'm going to answer it right now. I've got some dates over here. Dan wants to know, is there a way to filter this by day of the week without a helper column? And Dan, the answer is unfortunately no. I will explain why. So if I don't like the format of these dates, I'm going to just quickly change them. And I'm going to go to the home tab, and instead of date, short date, I'm going to make it a long date. That just means widen your column. Dan, if I'm getting this right, feel free to chime in again. Dan wants to sort by Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The reason you can't is this. Dates in Microsoft Excel are actually numbers. So I'm over here in column M. Today's date is control semicolon. And then I'm going to just type in a few other dates just randomly. 318, 1998 or 95, I don't care. Two more dates, one more. And here's why that won't work, unfortunately. I just said dates are numbers. If I highlight these and copy them and paste them and then make them a number format, Microsoft had to figure out a way. They had to decide, when do we want to start counting dates so I can subtract one date from another date or add two dates together. January 1, 1900 is the number one. So January 2, 1900 is 2. So today's date is 44,958. So there is no way that I can think of, if you wanted to sort Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, without throwing in that helper column. So sorry about that, Dan. If I can figure something out, we'll take a look at that. All right, let me go ahead and get rid of this real quick. Delete. So I was running over here to numbers and dates. I told me to do the dates first. I am going to put them back to short date though, just for a second, just a little easier to read. So here's my example for a filter with dates. I want to filter from, I'm going to keep this really simple. For the year 2022, I just want to see January, February, and March. Data tab, filter, no big deal there. Hit the drop down, and here's what I see people do frequently. They will take the check mark out of select all. They will check the year, because this is cool that Excel grouped by year, and then it grouped by month, and then it even grouped by date for what dates are there. And I see people do this all the time. and most of the time it's going to give you the correct answer. When I hit OK, it probably give me the correct answer, but this is not the way to do this. When you're dealing with dates and numbers, since I said dates or numbers, use your date filter item here. And again, I'm just making this up. I want to see dates between, so I go to between. If I wanted to see dates after, I'd go to after, dates before, but let me do a between. I can't recall what I originally said, so I'm going to keep this simple. I'm going to do July 1, 2021. And I want to run this through June 30th, 2022. Zoom in a bit. Yes, I will. Thank you. Let's zoom in real quick. Let me check one thing real quick, real fast. Let me just make sure my screen resolution. I apologize. I should have checked this before. Oh, my bad. Ooh, that's what I get. Okay, here you go. Thank you for that. Sorry. Now can you see it? All right. Let me do that again. I went to the dates. Thank you. I went to the date filters. I went to between. I just typed in 7/1/21. I did not even put in 2021. I'll do it again. 21 through June 30th, 22. Hit OK. Date filters, bottom left corner, 25 of 35 records found. Whenever you're running filters, you can always sort. Just click here. I want to just test this real quick. I'm going to sort newest to oldest. Perfect. And then if you wanted to, you could sort oldest to newest. I probably would have just scrolled down and looked. But yes, it picked up the correct range for me on that. So there are some date filters right there. And since I've got this only filter running, I'm just going to clear it from here is what I would do. All right. Let's do something with numbers. I have a column over here for income. And again, it's going to be the same. I'm just going to keep this simple. I want to see incomes over 82,500. Use your date filters for date. Use your number filters for numbers. I think I said greater than 85,200, 85200. No need to put the commas in there. Hit put in is greater than. That's perfect. Hit OK. And there I go again with those numbers right there. All right. Here comes something a lot of people don't know about filters. I'm going to do filters still, but when you do filters and you start wanting to do average, the highest, which is the max, the lowest, the sum, you'll get the wrong answer. So let's look at the correct function to use when doing filters. So let me just clear this real quick. I'm just going to stay here on this spreadsheet. By the way, just to point this out again, now I'm repeating myself. We stop on row 36. I'm going to go and filter and do just California. I'm just keeping it easy. Hit OK. And I come down. I know that my data stopped in row 36, and that's why 37 is available, by the way. I'm going to just do this in cell 40. I'm going to do the word average, and I'm doing these so you can keep up with them on your screen. So a lot of people do this. Hey, Chris, I'm going to do the average function to get the average. And they say, how about that? Well, that is incorrect. So when I was doing filters and I deleted rows, everything was perfect. When I did a filter and highlighted rows and did a copy paste to another worksheet, everything is perfect. But when you start getting into Excel functions, sum, average, all that, it does pick up the hidden rows. That's what I want to make sure you understand. So what do you want to do if you want to figure out the average for what is visible? The function to use is the subtotal function. Equal subtotal, open parenth. What is it I want to figure out? People always get confused about this, and I'll tell you why. They used to not tell you what these numbers meant. They at least now tell you. I'm trying to figure out the average, so I'm going to use the number 1. In just a second, I'm going to figure out the max, so I'll use the number 4. Comma, here's where they also get confused. Okay, what cell reference do you want? And they say, well, I'm going to grab I-14 to I-35. No, you pick up your entire range, including what's hidden. So I know that this started at cell I2 through, And that's why I wanted to point out that it stopped at I-36, and I even said I'm gonna say this again, I-36, because the subtotal function with the number 1, which is an average, is only gonna average what is visible on your screen. And the reason you're gonna pick up the entire range in just a second, I'm gonna change it from California to a different state, and I wanna make sure I get that entire range. So there is the average with the subtotal function. I will use formula text just to keep this on the screen for us. Nothing wrong with that. And just to give myself a little bit of room. I don't like the numbers and the text running next to each other. This is just me being picky. I'm going to do an increase indent 1, 2 times. There you go. Here we go again. Let's figure out the highest. I'll fly through these now. Same steps equal subtotal. The number 4 is max, comma, I2 through I-36. This one's actually pretty easy. It better be 3,200. And it is. I will copy that formula down right there. Whoops, right there. So I use the number 1. I'll put these over here, and I use the number 4 right there. That's the big difference. Don't ask me why. I don't know why the formatting for the 1,337 is not the same thing as the 3,200. Whenever I'm doing Excel classes, people always ask me that question. I'm just going to use the format painter and fix it right there. There you go. And I'm going to take a breather for a second and look for a question. I believe I've got one coming up. Any questions at all right now before I continue? Christian and I, the last one we did, it went really well, but I don't believe it went as we got our timing down a little bit better. Anyway, I appreciate you being here. Let's keep on going. Real fast, this is the lowest. I got a cool tip for you right here. I can't just get this and auto fill it down because it's I2 to I-36 in the formula bar. And if I pull it down, watch, you know this, it's now I3 to I-37. And someone's going to say, well, Chris, you could have made them absolute reference. I agree, but I didn't. I forgot to. So here's the cool tip. I am directly below a function that I just used. And all I need to do is change a number or change a word. Control quotations. That copies whatever is directly above it, but it does not change the cell reference. That's why it's still I2 to I-36. I'm going to do it again. Control quotes. I'm going to change that number 4. Here's another tip. Well, I'm clicking on there and I'm like, okay, what number do I use? Because I got rid of it. Alt down arrow will kind of put you back in side of the formula or function. So that was an alt down arrow. And I say, oh, what number do I need? The number 5 this time. Thank you. I do have time for another question. Dan, you're up. I knew that was coming. I love the aggregate function actually. I'm just doing subtotals now because a lot of people aren't used to them, but I'm a big fan of the aggregate function. I actually use it more frequently than subtotals. But when I'm training people initially on this, I find that they get the subtotal function just a little bit easier than the aggregate function. I tell you what, the next, if not the next ones, I'm planning on doing pivot tables soon. But I'm going to do a function on, I'm going to do a class on just that function and a few others because I do love that function. Great question, Dan. Thank you. Any other questions? Keep them coming. I appreciate it. Last one. This one's easy. Total. I'm going to just type it out. Equal subtotal. The total is the number 9. I use subtotal. The number 9, comma, I2 through I-36. There you go. And I'll autofill this down. That is the formula text function over here, in case you're wondering. That is called formula text. And there are your numbers right here. So that was that one. Let's keep on moving. Let me pop over into my topic list. By the way, I wasn't even planning on doing that. Oh, one of my favorite items. Oh, actually I did. There we go. I'm going to do the slicers right now. So all that's been covered. Here come slicers. I'm going to do it with this data right here. Okay. I I love slicers, and I'm gonna tell you why. Here's an easy example. So we know how to use filters. If I go to data, here's a quick one, filter. I want to see General Motors. I got car brands in here, by the way, in column B, so this should be right up everyone's alley. You're familiar with this. I want to see GM and I want to see Toyota. So if I hit this drop down and I say, hey, show me GM, show me Toyota, great, click OK. Here's my issue. Sometimes we filter by so many items, and I'm only filtering by 2. Unless I start analyzing what got filtered, I don't know what was selected in the drop down. This is where I'm headed with this one. Like, okay, what did I pick? Especially when someone else sends you a spreadsheet. So I'm going to turn off the filters. We have something in Excel called slicers. Consider slicers the same as filters, except they're more easily to see what you're using with. Now, I'm going to turn off the filters, and the reason is this. This is a data range, and I feel like I say this on every video that I make now. How do I know it's a data range and not a table? Because my tabs are up here, home, insert, draw. I don't see a tab for tables. That's how I know that this is a data range. I want to make it a table, Control T. That works on the Windows, that works on the Mac, Control T. It picks up my data. Notice it runs through F1000, and my table has headers. Click OK. Now I have this contextual tab called Table Design. I'm going to change it just so it's easier to see. I'm hitting Table Design, Table Styles. You can pick whatever one you want to. Live Preview works. So if you just mouse over, this is called Live Preview. I actually like this one right here. I'm going to take it. I love tables. If you want to use slicers, your data cannot be a data range. It needs to be a table, because I didn't have this option right here, Table Design, Tools Group, Slicer. Take a look at my header row. I have 6 fields in the header row. And by the way, whenever you do Control T and make that table, it turns on filters automatically. You can always come in here and turn off the filters right here, or you can go to data filter and turn it off. I don't need the filters because I'm going to use the slicers instead. Here we go. When I click on insert slicer, there are my 6 fields. I really would only use 3 of these, but since we're live and I'm in training mode, I'm going to pick a 4th one. You'll see why I don't want you to pick this one. You're almost always picking text that repeats. My dealerships repeat, my car brands have repeating data, and along with my reps, I'm going to pick invoice date. That is the one I don't want, by the way, but I'm picking it just to show you this. When I hit OK, they appear on my screen. You can move these around. I'm just going to stick them over here to the right now. That looks good for now. You can resize them. I hope you realize the one I don't need is invoice date, because this is no good for me. So I'm going to get rid of that one. So now I've got the ones I need sitting here. Now, car brands. I've got a lot of car brands and I don't feel like scrolling up and down and all that. So I can click on this slicer in the ribbon. And you know what? I think I want 3 columns. There we go. How about that? So I hope you see where I'm headed. So now back to that original filter question. I wanted to see GM and I wanted to see Toyota. I'm going to click GM. Watch this. That is a filter. It even tells you in the bottom left corner 103 of 999 records found. But I also want to see Toyota. Just hold down the control key and click on Toyota. And I can tell from this car brand slicer what I'm using to filter by. If you don't want to hold down the control key, let me just turn everything off. You can clear it right here. You can also come in here and tell it to multiple select. So it's either on or off. It's off by default. I don't need control now. I'm going to click on GM. I'm going to click on Ford and I'm going to click on Mazda. So that is your multiple select. You can keep going with this. I want to see those three brands, but only for the ABC dealership. I am down to 420 records in the bottom left, and I only want to see it for the rep Art Vandelay. We went from 420 down to 96 records right there by using slicers, but we had to have a table first. I love tables. So we are wrapping up. I appreciate your time. I'm a stickler about the time. Any questions I did not get to, we got it set up so they do get saved this time in your chat box. Uh, I'll be doing these at least 2 a month for the next several months. I appreciate your support for my YouTube channel. If you're on LinkedIn, you can always reach out to me. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you.